Hello, everyone. We're back with the sixth episode of Cricket Spectacle. We have with us Sidharth as usual, and unfortunately, because Dan had some personal work to get done with his family, and yeah, we need to get him and have some free time away from us as well, right? Like we can't keep him to ourselves. As special as Dan is, we have let him enjoy some family time today, and we'll take care of the proceedings. So,
If it's
Siddharth, how are you
if it
feeling?
yeah, if it's in my
Yeah.
hands, I would never leave Dan. I would have him on all the
Yeah, exactly.
shows.
Why would you leave that? Exactly. That's why people watch the show as well. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's something which we will be getting back to normal proceedings next week with Dan
Yeah.
coming back. But for this week, India won the series against England. That's something which we'll discuss in detail. But just on first initial thoughts and reactions, Siddharth, how did you feel the series was? Was it as dominant for India as the result shows, like a 2-1 win, but it was overall the Test series, the T20, and the ODI series. Was India as dominant as the paper and the result shows? How did you feel about that?
I think if I'll just leave out the test series in which India were actually dominant except for the first test in Chennai, especially I think in the T20Is and ODIs, I would actually have to give full marks to England for the fight that they have put in. Because see, if you look at the T20I series, it just came down to the last game. And of course, in ODIs also, same was the case. But I
Yep.
think, what I felt after yesterday's game, or let's say, the Sunday's game was that this should have been a 5 match ODI series, because in three
Oh yeah.
matches, you really, after what we saw of Sam Curran, the fight that he had put in, and England
Yep.
was so close to, let's say, get that 2-1 series win, and at least go home with one trophy in their cabinet. That
Yeah.
just did not happen. That's fine, of course, India did play really well, but I think this should have been a 5 match ODI series. And at the very same time, I think credit really has to be given to both the teams for the sheer fight that they have put in. And of course,
Yep.
except for the second game in the second ODI, in which England actually blanked India, I would say.
Yeah.
The first ODI and the third ODI, I think England's approach a bit here was a little bit questionable from my end, because see, if you look at the totals that India had put in across the three ODIs, of course, all three were 300 plus.
Yep.
England needed just a couple of big partnerships to sail through. And that is where,
Mhm.
when England started to lose wickets, they did not basically, let's say, as we say in Hindi, ki unhone na apni aggressive approach ko na होल्ड नहीं रखा, उस पे होल्ड नहीं रखा, कहीं ना कहीं
Yeah.
उन्होंने ना जो उनके एक एक्यूमुलेटर थे ना वो नहीं आए थे. So that is
Yeah.
the
They
main
just
reason they just
continued
continued to
hitting through.
lose wickets.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you look at the third ODI, because I would
Mm.
say where the game was won for India. Of course, we have to say that number one, the approach of Pant and Pandya was really really good, because they were very
Yeah.
aggressive, and that
They
actually
counter-attacked in there at one around what
absolutely
140 for four. India could have easily been like, okay, TK, we just like continue to play out the 50 overs and get to around 300, but they counter-attacked,
yes,
which probably set up the innings as well, because had
absolutely.
they not done that, it could have been a very much lower score, and it was a psychological thing as well, right? Like England were on top at that point, and the
Yes,
way they attacked, it was pretty interesting though, because I don't remember India being that kind of a team. That's usually what the Aussies do, right? Like Aussies
absolutely.
like had that, we will dominate you even if the chips are down, and we don't care if it's 4 wickets or 5 wickets. We are going to be the one who's gonna dictate the pace, and that's something I think the credit for that, actually, I personally give it to Kohli and Ravi Shastri. Both of them, they have that,
Yes,
uh, Kohli in itself, he has that aggressive, I want to win, I want to dominate, that alpha mentality which he has, and he has instilled that in the team as well, and that I think has paid dividends more often than not. The ICC tournaments are something which we still need to see that result in, but
absolutely.
overall, I think it's been like an attitude adjustment for the good of the team, and they're not afraid anymore, are they? Like even in the first test and first ODI, when we were like what they were, England were dominating the game in the chase, right? And then that one
Yes.
quick switch, the T20 third ODI as well, when Bhuvi came in, switched the match around. Those moments,
Yes.
those
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of reflect on the team culture and and we have seen this with Australia as well, right? Like with decades, like almost two whole decades, they used to do
Yes.
this. Like you could
Yes.
never say Australia has lost this match. Like the best example probably will be the semi-final, iconic semi-final in the 1999 World Cup, right? South
Yes.
Africa, Australia. Steve was just out of nowhere, took that World Cup out of South Africa's hand, right? First with
Yes.
the
Yes. Yes.
qualification, and then with the whole. Even though Lance Klusener almost single-handedly took them to the final,
Finals.
England,
Yes.
Australia pulled it back and stuff. So that's what we are used to seeing. We have grown
Absolutely.
up with seeing that. Now it's really good to see India doing it, and they have the
Yes.
talent to back it up. That's another thing which we need to address. That there is talent to do those things. It's not just
Yes.
that okay, well, let's do this. It's like we will do this, and we have the people to do this. Which
Yes.
again, as you said, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, those. We don't care who you are and what you do. We are going to play our game. Those
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
people, which we missed probably earlier. And again, this is probably the best. Again, we have to put it that the bowling attack probably is the best we have ever had. And that kind of gives the batsman and the players in general more confidence to play freely. Right?
Absolutely.
That's India right now. So
I
staying
think
on the aggressive
actually,
approach.
yeah, just to,
Yeah,
add
go
to
on.
one
Yeah.
more point that, you said that, talent on show is something that India are really known for now. But I think it's the
Mhm.
performances also that are coming in irrespective of the conditions. See, if you look at the
Yeah.
conditions during the T20Is and ODIs, the toss was a very crucial factor because of,
Yeah.
one obvious reason, and that was due. However,
Yeah.
India really performed well, just keeping, let's say, the conditions out of their mind. It was just
Mm.
something that, conditions just do not matter to them anymore. It's just about,
Yeah, and that's
performing well with
exactly
both bat and
exact
ball.
opposite to what England did during the Test series as well, right? Like
Absolutely,
they let
absolutely.
conditions dominate their mental space, and then the rest was just like it was just formality after that. But India didn't let that. Again,
Yes,
like you said, it's a whole package: the attitude, the personnel which is available for India, and the
yes,
execution, which is the most important part,
yes.
obviously. So that synergy is really good right now. And just before we move on to the approach of the teams and how they went about, just tell me one thing: what do we
Yeah.
need to do to get Virat Kohli to win a toss? Like, is there anything which we can do? Can we
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bribe someone? Can
I
we pay someone?
I
Can
have
we do some rituals? There, black magic. I don't care what we need to do. If we need to like do something, just tell us, because the World Cup is coming up, and if we don't win any of the tosses in that one, I would be really worried for us. So
I am not at all worried. I am not at all worried. See, as long as India wins, I do not care who wins the toss. It's absolutely fine because see,
that's fair. That's fair.
that's the mark of a champion team, and that is where
Yeah.
see. After the match on Sunday, I was having a chat with one of my friends who is also a cricket fanatic, and I told him
Yeah.
one thing that the other teams must fear India come the
Mm.
World T20 and the 2023 World Cup, because the toss is not an important factor for India. See, some either of the two teams is going to win the toss. That's for sure. That has to happen. That is one of those
Yep.
certain things apart from death and taxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And
think
Virat Kohli losing the toss probably,
yeah,
that
and
as
Virat
well.
Kohli losing the toss probably. But I think at the very same
Yeah.
time, it does not matter who wins the toss, because with India, we have seen that they have almost all bases covered. You have, two or
Yeah.
three accumulators coming in: Rohit, Dhawan, Kohli. Then at number 4, I think it's possibly going to be a toss-up between Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul. Then at 5,
Yeah.
6, and 7, you have those real hitters
Yeah.
in Pant, Hardik Pandya, and of course, Ravindra Jadeja is going to come back sooner or later. And then your bowlers
Yeah.
are coming in. And also, with when I was having that chat with one of my friends, I told him that India clearly have around 8 to 10 fast bowlers now. If I can just name it on my
Yeah.
fingertips: Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur, Jasprit Bumrah, Prasidh Krishna, and T Natarajan, and then you have Mohammad Shami.
Shami. Yeah,
Mohammad Shami, and I think Umesh Yadav is also, in and around the,
yeah,
think tank. But I think
yeah.
that's where
International level bowler. Yeah, yeah,
absolutely, and I think I think this is a kind of happy headache to have. And
yeah.
with India going in with such, good bench strength, ahead during the, I think just for the tour of England later this year, and of course, for
Yeah.
the World Cups, coming this year and in the next 2 years, there is a
Mm.
lot. I think this team is actually turning from formidable to dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you had when you were listing, you listed Bumrah as number 4. That should tell you everything that there is to know, right? Like if your first name is not Bumrah, that
No,
means
no
that
particular
you
order.
have, yeah, there's no particular order for that. And Bumrah probably, like in terms of death bowling, I don't think there's anyone better than him internationally
Absolutely.
right now. Like the amount of variety he has and the kind of accuracy he has in those Yorkers of his is like you know that if you don't need to think about him as the first and the only name. You
Yes,
know that
yes,
your
yes.
bowling lineup is pretty fine, especially the pace attack. And it's pretty interesting that
Indeed.
India now has that they could play 3 teams and all 3 would have international level paces. Like not maybe they won't all win you all the matches on their own, like Bumrah would probably do it, Bhuvneshwar Kumar could
Yeah.
do it, but not. But still, it's a respectable bowling attack. And yeah, uh, just staying with the bowlers though, I think as much as the batsmen showed their class in both all the 3
Yes.
ODIs, who was your pick of the bunch? Like could be a batsman, could be bowler, all rounder, whatever. But if you had to pick one. Player who stood out for you through the series from either team, who would it be?
Bhuvneshwar Kumar, hands down, the best
Yeah,
performer in this series. See, of course, we saw some great performances from batsmen like Shikhar Dhawan, even Virat Kohli also did well, and then you had Hardik Pandya, Johnny Bairstow. So all of
yeah.
these, got those big runs, and in a series where close to 2,000 runs was scored, around 1,900 runs was scored, if I'm not wrong. I think it was Bhuvneshwar Kumar who was actually my man of the series because see Shardul
Mhm.
Thakur, yes, he was the top performer, in terms of wickets. He took 7 wickets, but with
Yeah.
Bhuvneshwar Kumar, he finished with 6 wickets at a very, very good, at an let's say at an awe-inspiring economy of 4.65. Now you see,
Imagine 4.6 when the whole team is going for over 6.
6, 7, and
That's
for that matter,
yeah,
yes. So
yeah,
I think for me, he was the standout performer of this series. And
yeah.
one thing is going to be very important now that, in after the match, in the press conference, Bhuvneshwar made it clear that, IPL is going to be a tournament where he's going to manage his workload and he has his eyes
Mm.
set on Test cricket. But I think with Bhuvi now, getting into his early 30s, I am very, very I'm very, very, let's say, concerned about just one thing, that it might not be feasible for him to play all the formats. So this is where
Mm.
I think the management has possibly needs to step in and have a clear chat with him. If in case, there has been no chat with him regarding this, that how
Yeah.
he can preserve his body specifically for ODIs and T20Is. That's very, very important.
Mm.
See, because you take this year into consideration, in the next 2 years, India are
Mm.
set to play 3 World Cups, if I'm not wrong. Two T20I
Mm.
World Cups and, one
Yeah,
2023 World Cup, which is going to be the 50 over World Cup, the pinnacle.
yeah.
I think that is where India need him the most. Because he's your strike
Mm.
bowler. He's going to get you those early wickets, like he got the early wickets of Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow in the final ODI.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, very important because,
Mm.
when you are yes, in the third ODI, India were defending around 330. But what if,
Mm.
in a game, in a World Cup game, you're defending around 250, 260? And that is where you need
Yeah.
early wickets, because that's where, containing is not going to be the case.
Yeah.
That will,
Even I think in the third ODI,
yeah.
the 330 odd was not like a big total on that pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
And given the batting attack which England have, they could have easily chased it down. And they did the second ODI as well, right? They
It was
chased, I think, a
it was a
bigger total
Patha
than that.
wicket. It was a Patha wicket, as we say in,
Yeah,
yeah.
basically, like it's like flat. You can probably play it on a highway, and it's the same effect. It's nearly the same thing for a bowler. But yeah, like you said, like if someone like Bhuvi can bowl at 4.6 economy on those kind of pitches, then you know
Yes.
it's just the class, right? It's a difference in class between. It's not like England didn't want to hit him or couldn't think of hitting him. They were attacking him as well, and that's why they lost the wickets as well. He went for
Yes.
14 in the first over yesterday as well, right? Like they got off to a good start, and he got the wicket of the last ball of the first over. So you can't teach those that element of magic from
Yes.
bowlers or anyone. You either have it or you don't have it, and Bhuvi has it. But coming back to your point of load
Yes.
management, if you had to pick only one format for Bhuvi, because one or two, which two or one would you go for? If you were Kohli, which formats would you prefer Bhuvi bowling, and which formats would you not want him to focus much on? As a team for India, obviously leaving the IPL aside, that's out of Kohli's hand probably. So, which two formats would you go for?
See, ever since, Bhuvi made his debut in, let's say, in around, I think it was in late 2012 or 2013 early. One thing has been the case with him that, he has been injured, more often than not. And that was also one of the main reasons why he couldn't get to play, too many games in the 2015 World Cup, in which Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami, and Mohit Sharma were preferred over him. That's where I feel that if I am the captain, I would definitely keep Bhuvi for white ball formats because he is my main man here. He is going to get me those wickets, at the start and at the death. He's also, he's my man who is possibly going to stop the flow of runs. So
Yeah.
I am going to keep him for white ball formats specifically. However, with that being said, you really have a good pool of fast bowlers, for test format. And given the fact that India are slated to tour England later this year, I would probably have him in the squad so that he can just work with the physiotherapist and all the team doctors as to how he can possibly manage his workload, because with Bhuvi, it should not be the case that he's just playing all the all test games and all ODIs and T20Is.
Yeah.
He really has to feature in those games only in which it's like him being an impact player, with something that we have seen with Rishabh Pant. When the when the need of the hour is that you need someone who can just possibly turn the tide in your team in your team's favor. So that is where I think Pant stepped in Australia, in Sydney,
Yep.
and in Gaba, and that
Even in
should
the ODI series this time as well. Yeah.
even in the ODI series too. He was
Yep.
promoted at number 4. I think same should
Yeah.
be the case with Bhuvi. When I think India possibly need a win in the next game or a draw or something like that,
Yeah.
I think that's the time to have Bhuvi, because I would personally keep him for white ball formats. However, with that being said, he should continue to train with the Indian red ball team.
Yeah, I think he will probably play in England because being a swing bowler, and that would probably be his last England tour as well.
Possible.
So he might play. I think he would probably play the ICC Test Championship as well. So that's another possibility, which
I don't see that happening,
could
because
happen.
yeah, which could happen, but that might only happen in case of injuries to maybe Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami, and Jasprit Bumrah, because these four are currently your first choice fast bowlers. And given the
Yeah,
fact that
that's true.
we are going to have that game in Southampton, which is still not confirmed, because there are some talks going on regarding that. I think 3 fast bowlers should be more than enough. And of course, if Hardik Pandya is fit enough to bowl in test format, so yeah, that's going to be a different case.
Yeah. No, that's true though. I mean, he is one of those players, right? He has won us probably both the series, T20I
Yeah,
as well as
absolutely.
ODI. He's probably won it on his own. Even if the numbers don't suggest, if you watch the game, you know that it was Bhuvi's, uh, mm, call it maturity, call it special talent, or whatever it could be. But yeah, he probably won us 2 series,
Yeah.
both the limited over games. But yeah, and like touching on the overall man of the series kind of picture, who would you say stood out for you for England in particular? Like, was there anyone specific who made an impact of, or something, who did something which you didn't expect to see, but it happened during the series? Like, I think Ben Stokes was pretty good. Bairstow had his
Yes, yes,
moments as
yes.
well. Moeen Ali kept getting Virat Kohli out for some reason. That is that is a mystery I will never be able to solve. Like Virat Kohli getting out to Moeen Ali, and I think it's like around 8 or 9 times that he has gotten him out now in his career.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, and I think that's one answer which we'll never ever be able to figure out. How does that happen? I don't know, but it's just one of those things. Like UV had with Peterson as well, right? Yuvraj used to get out Kevin Peterson, I think, a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
times.
Pie
Again, a
checker.
part timer, yeah, pie checker, and then that happens a lot. I think could be psychological as well, because
Yeah,
talent wise, I don't think Moeen Ali should be getting
I think
Virat Kohli out so many times.
if it's psychological, then I'm really not sure, what used to happen with Matthew Hayden and Graham Smith when they used to face Zahir Khan.
Oh yeah, Zach really enjoyed bowling to Graham Smith though. Like
Yes, yes,
he enjoyed. Like if there was one batsman he would probably pick to bowl at, it would be Graham Smith maybe. But
absolutely.
yeah, coming back to
Yeah.
England though,
So
like
for
was
me,
there anyone
I
who
think,
stood out?
yeah. For me, I think two players stood out, and it was one Mark Wood. He bowled really well at a good pace,
Mm,
and I think he
mm,
should be a consistent in the white ball formats now, which I
yeah,
think would be the case going now,
yeah,
going
yeah.
from now on. And secondly, I think Johnny Bairstow did really well. But with
Mm,
Bairstow, I think there is this one factor that I would really like to pinpoint us specifically, in terms of the third ODI, that
mm,
England openers, or let's say the whole England batting, of course, they are known for their attack approach, full aggressive approach, something that Morgan highlighted despite of the team losing the first ODI. He said that,
mm,
we are going to go with this same approach only. It has reaped rewards for us. It has won the world.
yeah.
It has won us the World Cup and all of those things. But I think this is where they really need to show, some not I would say maturity, but of course, if let's say, you are chasing a total of around 325, and if you
Mm,
have got a start of 120 or 130 for no loss in 15, 16 overs, there is no point to finish the match in 35, 40 overs. You
yeah,
can
you get the
just,
same amount of points. Yeah.
yeah, you
So
can, it does not matter. Of course, it does highlight the fact that the team is let's say if England can finish the totals of 320, 313, 35, 40 overs, it does highlight
mm,
the fact that, the team is actually turning out to be dangerous. But at the very
yeah,
same time, what's most important in a game of cricket or in sport? It is win. You just have to
winning.
win the game. That's, even if you win by 1 run, that's also fine. There is no problem in that. And that is where I feel that England lacked a certain name in this ODI series, and that's Joe Root, because he is your
Mm,
perfect accumulator at number three. Nothing taking away
yeah,
from David Malan. He did really
yeah,
well in the last ODI also.
yeah.
But I think once Joe Root returns, he might not find a place here. And that is where I think Joe Root has to be there at number three, because he can hold the innings together. And same can
Mm,
be said with respect to the T20I format, because
yeah.
England need him. England desperately need an
Mm,
accumulator here, because you cannot just go on with the full, aggressive approach and attack approach with something that New Zealand, we know, are very much famous for, were very much famous
yeah.
for under Brendan McCullum.
Brendan McCullum.
But
Yeah.
it also, just depends upon the style with which each and every team plays. And that is where I think
Mm,
England just need to show a little bit of more patience with
mm,
the fact that if you're chasing a good total, there's no point in just hurrying and getting there, because even if you get a couple of good partnerships, you do have the depth, you do have the talent to get there, because we saw in the third ODI yesterday, in third ODI on Sunday, that Sam Curran almost won you the game, batting
yeah.
at 8 or 9. So that is where I
Yeah.
think you have a very, very good lineup. Just need to show a bit more patience, and I'm sure
Yeah.
England can do wonders from
Yeah. They need to be more pragmatic, right? Like you can't just be like the tunnel vision of attack,
yeah,
attack,
yeah,
attack,
yeah,
attack. You need
definitely.
to you get to a point, you reassess the situation and like adapt to conditions and stuff like that. But again, like Morgan said, that it's if it's a team decision to play in a certain way and they think that that's the best way to go about it,
Mm,
then who are we to challenge the world champions, right? I mean,
absolutely.
again, everyone, once in every episode, we remind everyone that they didn't win it, they drew the World Cup. So we'll do that again. They drew the World Cup, didn't win it, but they took the cup home. But yeah, they are the world champions right now. So it's one of those things, right? Like it's if when it comes off, you look like the greatest team in the world.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't, then you start questioning it. But again, I like the approach in terms of how they are going about their business. Like they don't want to just like uh, play it out and then see where we go kind of thing. They are the other way around. Like we will play, and if it happens, that's good. If not, then we were not good enough kind of thing. They might
Yes.
not win all their matches, but again, we saw that with New Zealand as well. It backfired in the World Cup final when they did the
Yes.
same thing. But before that, it got them to the World Cup final. So there's there's again those elements of ifs and buts and all those things. Like had McCullum not gotten out in the first over to start, maybe they could have hit 350. And it's again those kind of things. That's what makes cricket, right?
Yeah.
So I think one final point, and I think that's a very important one for India as a
Absolutely.
team, is that Mr. Virat Kohli hasn't scored a century for I don't know how many years. I have grown my hair since the last time Kohli has scored a century. I have not cut it yet, and it has now reached a very long stage, which it's becoming very unmanageable almost. So when will, or rather, let's not say when will he do it. He will obviously do it, and he's playing well. It's not like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
playing
yeah.
bad. It's just the conversion and a century. As he says that he doesn't care about a century. Everyone cares about a century. That's just something you need to say to the media kind of thing. But again, he's not playing bad. He is probably getting like scoring at 55 or 60 average anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not bad. It's not bad. But um, for India as a team and for him as a captain, should we be worried about him not converting? Because we are so used to Virat Kohli. The moment Virat Kohli used to come out like 5 years ago, right? I could bet you I didn't have 1 ounce of worry that India is going to chase this or not. India will chase it. Virat Kohli is there. India is going to chase it. It's a very simple equation. Get Kohli out, you will win the match. If you don't get Kohli out, Kohli will win the match. Now the equation isn't that anymore. But the equation is whether Kohli can actually get that century. The narrative has changed slightly. It's not important for the teams or the
Yes,
result
yes, yes,
as much
yes.
as him as an individual. But should we be worried about Kohli's failure to convert those 50s and 60s to 100 and 150, which he usually did so much? Like how many centuries is he on? 70 international centuries
70.
or
Yes.
70?
70.
70. So that kind of amount, that number of those number of centuries, right? You think, and I'm like, I can't even get my sentence right because I'm thinking 70 centuries, international level, 70 centuries. You say it's ridiculous. And
Yes.
now we see almost, and although that 500 or 490-day period is a bit uh, unfair because of COVID break and all that thing,
Yes,
but
yes, yes.
whatever it be, should we be worried? That's the bottom line. Should India or should the fans be worried about Kohli's form right now?
Okay, I'll just look into the camera for this. So for all
Yeah.
those you who are worried about, Virat Kohli not being able to get to his 71st century, international century, let's not be worried. That's not as important as an India win. Let's just focus on the India winning the games.
Yeah.
Centuries will come. See, Virat Kohli, I think, see, this is a phase that every cricketer, goes through in their
Yeah.
professional life. You are possibly not going to get those big runs. You're possibly might go through a phase in which you might not be able to get those maybe 50s or even 60 odd. But I think that is where it's not a mental block, or I don't think it's something that's possibly concerning Kohli. I think it's just that he just has to contribute to India's performances in each and every game. That's very
Hmm.
important, because hundreds will आता जाता रहेगा. वो बिल्कुल एक जिंदगी की तरह है कि वो ऊपर नीचे रहेगा एक साइन वेव की तरह. It's like
Yeah.
आपको बस मतलब अपना जो परफॉर्मेंस है ना वो बहुत अच्छा रखना है. But
Yeah.
with that being said, there's one thing that I'm really worried about, and that's India's performances against spin. And that has
Hmm.
really, really left me concerned, because of the way these batsmen are getting dismissed. You look at Rohit Sharma, he couldn't even read the googly of Adil Rashid. Then Virat
Hmm.
Kohli, how he See, he has been, dismissed by Moeen Ali numerous times, and the way he got out to him in the third ODI
Mm,
left me baffled. Because every
yeah.
time I think he just possibly gets out to Moeen Ali, he just looks at the pitch and it's like, "क्या है? मुझे समझ नहीं आया कुछ."
Yeah, what,
And there's
what is
nothing.
that? Yeah, that's not my fault.
और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि कोई मतलब उतनी अच्छी डिलीवरीज होती है कि आप ये कह सकते हो कि नहीं यार ये बॉल
I mean,
मतलब
Moeen
दिस
Ali,
दिस वाज अ गुड
how
बॉल
many,
या
कितना डाला रहेगा मोइन अली ने अच्छे balls, मतलब कितने, like you can
एब्सोल्युटली
count probably on his hand, like if it's not a square turning pitch, Moeen Ali, you shouldn't be getting out to Moeen Ali.
या
That's the end of it, right? Like unless you are chasing like 17 runs per over or something, and you have to hit every
दैट्स अ
ball, you
डिफरेंट
shouldn't be getting out to
that's a
Moeen
different ball
Ali.
game altogether. Yes, yes.
And that as you said, that's the worrying part, right? Because it's not just this series, it's been the T20s, even the test series as well. Moeen Ali got him. The test series, let's cut him some slack, because the pitches were not actually meant to be
Yes, yes, yes.
gotten hundreds on. Like even though Ashwin got it, I mean that was just ridiculously good batting, but you wouldn't blame anyone for getting out to a spinner on those pitches. But in as a whole, though, the interesting part with his or this issue is that it's like you said, people struggle, right? The batsmen struggle. That's the usual norm. It's not something
Yes,
new. It's a
yes.
very common phase. This is new for Kohli, and for a case study, it's so unique that he gets 50s consistently. Like he is getting those 50s, those 60s, those 70s, he's getting those starts, and then he's failing. Like there has to be some explanation. So obviously they are paying millions of dollars for analysts to see and check and what's happening, and
Yes,
there's
yes,
no
yes.
better analyst than Kohli himself probably of his own game. But there is some problem. We can't just deny that there is no problem. The problem isn't that he's scoring centuries. That's what everyone is worried about, the century part of it. My issue is again with him. Can we, when Kohli comes out or chases
Mhm.
during the T20I World Cup, it's a semi-final against Australia or England or New Zealand, he's at the pitch, and will he take India through till the end, which he used to do earlier? Now, my worry is only that would he continue to do it, or will he just magically flip a switch and it's back, like he is back again to it? Or is there something that he needs to change in his approach? Or there is another
Yes,
argument
yes,
which I
yes.
always make.
Hmm.
It's that now Kohli doesn't have that fear that if he gets out, the team is gone. There is Rishabh Pant, there is Hardik Pandya, there is KL Rahul. There's so much talent there that he
Correct,
can
correct.
just play as he wants. If he gets out, that's fine, because we'll still
Yeah,
win the match.
yeah.
That is another element to it. But having said that, none of those players are even close to Kohli's quality. So if Kohli clicks, you don't need to rely on Hardik Pandya or Krunal Pandya
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
Rishabh Pant.
Correct.
So would that, if there is one thing that you would probably think or you could
Yes,
change
yes, yes. Yes.
about Kohli's situation right now, is there anything you can think of which, if Ravi Shastri, as he usually does, watches our podcast, like it obviously every weekend he does that the same thing, so he will listen to this episode as well. If there is something you need to tell Ravi Shastri, then what would it be to just whisper into Kohli's ear? Kohli doesn't listen to our podcast. I've asked him. He's too busy for us. So, but Ravi Shastri, he's fine. He is on our team. So,
Yeah, yeah. So
what would
I
you
think
tell him?
nothing much. See, I think it's possibly, and I'm just going to say this, it's just possibly in the mind. There's
Hmm.
nothing much wrong with the technique except for, except when you're facing spinners. But I
Yeah.
think it's just a matter of time before he gets to that three-figure mark. It could
Hmm.
happen in the IPL also, which would be the first time. No, sorry, so I just confused it with international cricket. I'm sorry. So which
Yeah.
would possibly be, I think, for the fifth or sixth time when he gets to
Hmm.
100 in the IPL.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that,
been a while though. That's
yeah,
even
that's
in
also been a
IPL. I
while.
don't
Yeah.
think he has made one since like 2000. I don't know, 18 or something, or
Yes, yes,
17.
yes. So
It's
that's
been a while
also
though.
that's been a while.
It's not been a common occurrence in IPL as well. So if he does that, that's still a huge deal. But Yeah, like I completely agree though. There's
I think
nothing to worry about.
it's just a possible lapse in concentration, and that can happen to
Mm,
any of the cricketers. See, when you're batting at 70 or 80, and then
mm,
you just possibly you get a juicy half volley, you're just trying to drive it through covers,
yeah.
and suddenly there's a fielder there who just catches it. So there's
Mm,
not much of a fault, because if the ball has hit the middle of the bat,
yeah, there's not
99%,
much apart from placement. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
99% of the times it's going to go to the boundary. But of
Yeah,
course,
99.99 in Kohli's Kohli's case, probably he doesn't usually miss.
I think
So
it's just a
yeah,
possible lapse in concentration that can happen to any player, and I think it's
yeah,
just in the mind. It's just and Kohli is too good a player to just get rid of all these things. But for me,
yeah,
it does not matter. I think 70 international centuries. I'm still being a fan. Also, I'm just saying this here
mm,
that I'm absolutely very very happy with him. With what he has done for the Indian cricket over the years, and even if it
yep.
doesn't get to a century and continues to contribute in India's wins, that's more than enough
Mm.
for me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, again, it comes down to the fact that India now has the team for him to fail and still win.
Yeah,
And by fail, I mean 50. Him scoring a 50 is probably a failure for him, but it's not actually a failure. You need to have the context in mind as well, who you're talking about. Like, people are slacking him. Is Kohli done? Is his career over? Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. I mean, what you're comparing Kohli is Kohli. You're not comparing Kohli with anyone else. You compare Kohli with someone else, and then the narrative is very different. Like, how many people are probably better than Kohli right now in ODI cricket? You don't even need one hand, because you can't name anyone. He's the best in the world right now.
absolutely, absolutely.
So it is a good thing that we have the resources to manage without him, and that should give him a lot more confidence as well, right? Because you go out, you don't have the pressure. Okay, TK, you don't score a century, you still win the match. At the end of the day, you lift the trophy, you go home, sleep peacefully, watch our podcast. It's all in the day's work for him. But yeah, jokes aside, I don't think anyone should be worried about it until he doesn't score a century for another 365 days. Then we'll start panicking a bit, and then we'll let Ravi Shastri know about it. But till then, I think we should be fine about it. So yeah, I think we covered literally everything there
Yeah,
was for
I have a point.
the ODI series.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
I
Yeah.
just have one point to discuss. See, if I look at India's playing 11 in ODIs with respect to
Mm,
this England series, so you have your top three almost sure, because you cannot keep out Shikhar Dhawan. There have been talks of him
mm.
that whether he's still whether he still fits in India's plans in ODI cricket.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was me.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was targeting you only.
yeah.
I
Nobody
think,
has said that.
and Dan is not here to pull your leg today.
Yeah, nobody else was saying that apparently, and he's scoring centuries. So well,
Yeah,
I
he's
never said.
been.
No, he didn't score a century actually. Oh yeah, he didn't
Not
score.
out, he got out on 98, but that's fine.
Oh yeah,
I think
yeah.
his innings in the third ODI was very good. It was actually a
Hmm.
counter-attacking innings. But I think
Yeah.
if you keep the top three out, and then you have the middle order also more or less sorted, 5, 6, 7, in which we have Pant, Pandya, and Jadeja, and then the bowlers coming in. I think
Hmm.
one player that I really feel bad for, or let's say very very sad for, is KL Rahul. I think despite of
Hmm.
doing whatever the team has asked for him, whatever
Hmm.
the team wanted out of him, I think he is still not sure of a place in the 11, because once
Hmm. Yeah.
Shreyas Iyer gets fit, then it's going to be a
Hmm.
toss up between him and Iyer, and that is
Who
where
would you go? Who would you go for? KL Rahul and Iyer.
that depends. I think that's a very very tough choice, because
Hmm.
both are very good players. See, if you have to look at look at Iyer's case, he played a couple of very selfless knocks in the T20
Hmm.
T20I series against England, which is something
Yep.
that he's not known for, those possibly
Yeah.
counter attacking innings, and he played that at
Hmm.
while batting at 5 and 6, which are
Hmm.
also not his usual batting positions. So that is
Yep.
where I feel that of course Iyer might get the nod, but you look at Rahul, what wrong has he done? I think when he's asked to
Nothing.
open, he get those hundreds. When he's asked to
Yep.
bat at 4 and 5, he get those hundreds. He's also,
Yep.
keeping for you. I think it's just that you possibly have a player who is actually better suited for the role, which Rahul is
Hmm.
performing, and that's Rishabh Pant. But does
Hmm.
that mean KL Rahul would be out of the 11 once Shreyas Iyer returns at number 4? I don't know, but if that
I
happens,
wouldn't probably put
I
him
would be
out.
very
I
disappointed.
really like KL Rahul. I like him more than
Same.
Shreyas Iyer at number 4,
He is
probably because
he's one of the versatile players across formats
yeah,
that we
yep,
have in international cricket right now,
yep. You don't need to worry about
he's too good a
what
player to be
you're
left
gonna
out.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you know what you're gonna get from him, and I think that is one of the main strengths to play KL Rahul, right? Like exactly what he's going to, and unlike Shreyas Iyer as well, he can explode very, like he can just flip a switch. He is
Yeah,
probably one of our best T20 players as well. So that element of finishing, or let's say taking the innings through or ending the innings on a high, he can do that much easier than Shreyas Iyer. Shreyas Iyer probably, nothing against Shreyas Iyer, but he's a different,
he has his own
more,
strengths. Yeah,
yeah, he has
that's
his
the
own
thing.
strengths, but he has a more, how do you say, he can carry the innings, then accelerate and then do it. But there is some, like, in a very simple sense, KL Rahul will probably hit 4 sixes in an over if needed. I don't think Shreyas Iyer naturally will do that. KL Rahul will do it naturally. If needed, he can do it just like bang. I'll go off, and he has done it in the IPL as well as in international cricket. So there are different strengths, but from an Indian team perspective, I personally would pick KL Rahul. I think, like you
Yes.
said, he's done nothing wrong. He
Yeah.
has done literally everything that is asked of him. The only thing he has probably done wrong is go on that Coffee with Karan show with Hardik Pandya. Apart from that, like, I can't see. I mean, being friends with Hardik Pandya is the only thing he's done wrong in his life so far. So, but apart from that,
No. That's not the problem. I think going on the show might not have been the wrong decision. Definitely not the wrong
yeah.
decision. But I think the host could have been a little more intelligent.
No, the host was wrong. That was the issue. He chose the wrong host on that show. But yeah, in terms of cricketing terms, nothing wrong. He has done
Yes.
everything that was needed of him. Maybe even gone above and beyond. I didn't expect him to have such a good impact in the Indian team. I knew he
Yeah.
was a good player. He played for when he played for RCB. He played for Punjab. Was this Punjab? Yeah, it was Punjab, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah, he's done well across the board, right? So it's not a surprise that he's doing well. How well he is doing, that is a bit surprising for me. And yeah, he has a sound head on his shoulders, right? So more or less that you can trust him. And but yeah, it's again probably a good problem to have. Like you say, it's a good problem to in terms of selection, but
Yes.
someone's going to get subbed or put on the bench, and whoever it is,
It's going
you
to be
can't do anything about it.
very
It's
disappointing
very
for them.
harsh. Very
Because
harsh.
with
Yeah.
the bench strength that you have, as we were talking about earlier, you have very good resources who can, let's say,
Mm.
if a couple of players get injured, no problem. You'll have
Yeah.
two more very good players, replacing them.
Yeah.
But to have, to choose someone between KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
If I am the coach, or let's say I am the captain, then
Yeah.
it's going to be a very terrible headache for me.
Yeah. And the
How do you leave
main,
anyone out? That's the point.
exactly, the main issue is that you bring whoever comes in the Indian team right now is performing.
Yeah,
Krunal
that's the thing.
Pandya, first chance he got, he's clicked. Now,
Prasidh
when
Krishna,
Jadeja comes
for
back,
that matter.
yeah, exactly. So whoever's coming is performing right now. How do you get someone out? So like earlier in India, right, you could get some new players in and they used to be like 10-15 runs, fail a couple of times, then you swap them out and get someone in. Even if they are
Right.
not in the natural position, you could squeeze someone in there and move some parts. Now everyone's firing though. Like, who do you get out? How do you get out Krunal Pandya? And Hardik Pandya is there, like Rishabh Pant. Everyone is firing. Like, how? There is no point of saying that, okay, we are benching you on merit. You can't. Like, who are you going to drop? Tell me one person who was like a flat out flop this series. Like, can you
Kuldeep,
even
Kuldeep
name?
Yadav.
Kuldeep Yadav, yeah.
That's
But
kind of,
again,
yeah,
Kuldeep
that's a
Yadav is
different
not
discussion. Yeah.
actually, yeah, Kuldeep Yadav is not actually going to play, and it's not this series itself, right? Kuldeep Yadav has been pretty average since I don't even remember how long. He's been average for a long time, so it's not a
Yes.
surprise. And
Yes.
again, he's playing because of Jadeja is injured, and he won't be playing probably Test cricket. I don't think he will be playing. Ashwin will be playing with Jadeja anyway. So he's probably the in the bowling side of things. He would easily be the one to get replaced. But now again, the fact comes that who do you replace in pace attack once Bumrah comes back? So,
Yeah.
do you sacrifice Shardul Thakur's batting and bowling ability, or do you bench Prasid, who can't bat to save his life? That wicket, though, in the third ODI, he was going one side, the ball was going another side. That was beautiful to watch, and it's very rare, right? Like you don't
Yeah.
see bad batsmen anymore, like Courtney Walsh, Muralidharan,
Chris
Megra,
Martin.
although Megra wasn't the worst. Chris Martin probably the best one. Venkatesh Prasad. People who couldn't bat, you don't see those anymore. Like people bat at 11, batting at number 11, they
Yes.
have like a first class half century or something to their name. It's really sad. But now Prasad is like, okay, I can't bat to save my life. Watch me, and it's entertaining suddenly. But yeah, jokes aside, though, who do you even? That's the problem with India. It's a good problem to have, but
Yes.
whoever gets benched, it's going to be that whole Dinesh Karthik, MS Dhoni situation, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
good
yeah,
enough,
yeah.
but you are not good enough to play because there is someone who's already there and we can't replace them, kind of situation,
Mm.
it is what it is, right? Like it's a good thing that we have so many
Yes, yes, yes.
other tournaments going on as well, like IPL, people can get exposure and stuff. So yeah, it's a good dilemma to have.
The pool is actually just getting bigger and bigger. Of course, see, when
Yeah.
Bumrah returns, there's a good chance that, Prasidh Krishna might be benched. But the good thing is
Hmm.
that, he'll not be out of the squad. If,
Yeah, it's
of
not
course,
because he
if
was
there are any
bad.
injuries, that's a different thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, but it wouldn't be because he was bad. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's is that Bumrah is so much more important than you, so you will still be in the same pool. So you don't need to worry about being like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. You'll still
Absolutely.
be in and there around. But yeah, it's a beautiful dilemma to have, but one which is not our problem. Again, Ravi Shastri, if
Yeah.
you're watching, please take it. We don't want we don't want these kind of issues here. So I think yeah, we
Yeah.
covered a lot. I think the Indian cricket fans, especially, they would love this episode. So
Sure.
if you are an Indian team fan, if you're not an Indian team fan, if you're a Ravi Shastri fan, even if you're not, doesn't matter. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Twitter and wherever you want to. Hit me up on DMs, and we can bitch about Shikhar Dhawan as much as you want. I don't mind. I like the guy, but now I've taken a stance. I want him to play like I think he's going to play, rather than going on and scoring 98 runs and making me look bad. But yeah, no, I want him to score well. I want him to do well as long as he's playing for India, and even outside of India. He lives in Melbourne. I know that. So it's very close right now. I can't take such risk. So
And hit
yeah,
me
so
hit me up on DM. I can chat cricket all day. That's no problem for
yeah,
me.
yeah. If you ever get bored, if you have nothing to do on a Saturday, Sunday, just message Siddharth, ask him any random trivia. He will tell you who scored 50 on a Saturday, 2004 between Zimbabwe and Bangladesh. He'll probably know that answer already, but if he doesn't, he'll find it for you or whatever. Yeah, you can probably, and even Dan, if you want to just talk rubbish about England, he will be more than happy to do that. He can go all day, all night as well. So yeah, we have lots of options. We have a lot of variety to offer. And next week we'll be back with Dan. But for this episode, thanks for watching. And yeah, have a good week ahead.
Ah, I think we lost Nikhil. Okay, thank you.